Hey, the conversation continues. I am speaking right now with Steven Tylor O'Connor, the recipient of tonight's Casting Director Associate Spotlight Award. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How are you feeling tonight?
I feel good. I was really surprised when I got the call. The person who called me is also on the Diversity and Inclusion Committee, and so I thought it was about the Manasa open call that we were having. So that's where my mind was. And so when she started talking about this award, I was like, why are you talking to me about this? Like, does somebody need a breakdown set up? I don't know. Like, why are you talking to me right now? And then she told me, I was like, oh. And I had a lot of those, like, realization moments.
Well, it means you are being celebrated by your peers, by fellow CDs. And what does that mean to you?
It really means a lot, mainly because, sure, your bosses are going to nominate you. But what I was told was that I was nominated by multiple offices in various levels. And I was very touched by that because I try to show up, I try to do the right thing, I try to do a good job. And it's just nice that people are recognizing that I'm doing a good job, even people that I don't necessarily work with every day, which means a lot to me because I do try to do a good job.
How'd you get started in casting? Why casting for you?
Oh, I fell into it. I went to an acting conservatory in New York City, and I needed an internship in order to graduate. And my registrar pulled me in, and she was like, hey, we have a really great internship. It's really hard to get. And I was like, I've already done my internship hours. Like, I'm good. And she was like, no, this is a really good opportunity. So I was like, okay. And it was at CBS in Amy Herzig and Katharina Egman's office. So I went for the interview, and I did it, and I got it. And I was like, oh, this will be great. Like, I'm going to be meeting these network execs that have done these amazing shows. I got to meet Gina Davis while I did that internship, which I thought was so cool. She's very tall. And I did the internship, and I was like, okay, cool, great. I did the internship. They had me read for something, and I was like, I'm just going to go on this actor life. And then the economy tanked in 2008, and I interned in early 2008. And then NBC needed an assistant, and CBS recommended me for the assistant job. And I was kind of like, well, it's either take this job or move back home, and I don't want to move back home. And then I got a job at NBC, and I worked there for 4 years. So I sort of fell into it, as I think a lot of people who work in casting sort of fall into it. And it's been a fun journey ever since. I mean, I got to be in the room when Mads Mikkelsen screen tested for Hannibal. Like, he is such a phenomenal actor, and to see the moments and to be 5 feet away from him performing, I think that's where I get a lot of appreciation for actors, is because I came from an acting background. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate when really solid actors are doing really solid work, and you can appreciate what they're doing. I think so many actors sometimes feel like we in casting we're not on their side, we're not fighting for them, and it's like, no, we are. Mm-hmm. We really are, but what our job is to show versions. So if I show version A, B, and C, if we go with C, it doesn't mean that A and B was bad, it's just like we went with C. Mm-hmm. And I think from the people that I have cast, especially multiple times, they know that I am fighting for them to get the job, and I'm giving them those opportunities. And then at a certain point, it's kind of, well, it is what it is. Like, I brought my version. They either want it or they don't. They either want Pepsi or they want Coke.
I think it's great for actors to hear, because there's still a lot of misconceptions about casting directors and that relationship between actor and casting directors. And I think that knowledge is great for people to have, that you really are fighting for them and want them to do their best.
And I tell people, like, if we didn't like you, so that my favorite thing is when like, oh, that casting director hates me, and then I'm like, well, when was the last time you went in for them? They're like, earlier this week. I'm like, well, if they hated you, they wouldn't have called you in, because there are some actors that I probably hate, and I don't call them in. You know who you are. No, but it's just like, like, there are certain people you're just like, oh, that's not my jam. And the thing is, art is all subjective. So everybody has those people that you're like, nah, they don't do it for me. I get that other people like them, but they don't do it for me. So I'm not going to be advocating or fighting for them. But every actor should know, and this is something that happened. I'm not going to name the actor who said this to Jen, but he's a well-known actor, and he was coming in all the time for us at NBC. And he auditioned for a pilot, and he did a great job. I was reading, and then he pulled Jen aside, like, in the room, and was like, can I just tell you, he's like, I don't think that I'm doing a good job. I'm going in for all these pilots. I'm not booking anything. And Jen was like, no, the fact that we are bringing you in means you are doing the right job, especially in New York, because it's not like in LA where there are different casting offices. In New York, you go into the same casting director for the 30 different projects New York is doing. And she's like, I wouldn't be calling you in if you weren't good. It's just about finding the right project for you. And I want more actors to know that it's not about whether you're good or bad. It's about booking the room. And if you do a good job for us in the room, we're going to keep bringing you in for things. And yeah, I have a really good friend who's super talented, and he was brought in for all these half hours at CBS. And then they brought him in for like a serialized drama. And he tanked the audition. He was like, I didn't want to book it. I was terrible. And then he was like, I feel like they're never going to bring me in again. I'm like, no, they're just never going to bring you in again for serialized dramas. They're not going to forget that you're really good at being funny. They're just going to be like, all right, he can't do the serialized drama talking about your larynx. I don't know, larynx. I think that's a Dr. Seuss term. But you know, you're not going to be picking up a skull and being like, this is the tracheotomy. I don't know these words. But we don't hold that against you. We'll maybe try you for something, but if you can't do it, it doesn't mean all of a sudden we've forgotten how funny you are or how good you are in a non-serialized drama.
Is great advice for actors. For other associates and assistants and people looking to get into casting, how about advice for them? You've worked with some incredible offices, probably learned a lot along the way. What are some of those lessons? What do you think it takes to become a great casting director?
Part of it is having an opinion and being able to read the room. You know, you have bosses that may not want opinions, or you need to work your way up to that. I mean, I think I was at NBC for 3 years before I was able to sort of put forth opinions towards actors, and you need to build the casting director's trust of being good at your job, but also knowing things. You need to be watching the shows. If your boss is like, oh, are you watching this? If you're not, you should start watching it. You should start talking about actors. You want to be able to have that conversation with your boss of, oh, do you know who'd be really great for this? I was just watching this and blah, 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 blah. Like, that's how you can start doing well. Watch everything. I watch so much TV. It's where my roommate who works in films is like, I don't know what to say when you're not watching these movies. I'm like, I work in TV. I've got to watch all these shows and I have no time. But to be able to talk about the things that you're watching, because also, you can think about working in an office as a complementary thing. Mm-hmm. If my boss is watching these shows, there's going to maybe be some overlap. But if I'm watching these shows that she's not watching, then we're pulling from a larger talent pool of actors that we can be like, oh, well, I saw them in this and they were great, so let's try and get them in on this. Like, it's about knowing the talent pool, getting out there and having an opinion. Now, people may not want your opinion to start, but once you work with somebody long enough, they'll start to listen to your opinion and be able to appreciate that. And then you can be like, oh, yeah, this person's great. I worked on a Spectrovision film, and we made a character younger, and we were really busy in the office. And so I went home that night, had a glass of wine, I was watching TV, and I was like, let me just make a list of people who now fit this role. And I made a list, and I was like, I really love these people. And one of the people from my list ended up booking the role. Like, that makes me feel good because I took the initiative to make the list, and I took the initiative to say, I really feel like Ray Seahorn is really fantastic for this. And then she ended up booking it.
Your award is much deserved. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Thanks for talking to me, too. I appreciate it. And enjoy the rest of the night. It's great to have you back here. Very nice to meet you. Thanks so much.
Have a good night.